Julie Fei-Fan Balzer, and every dish needs a little dash of pepper to add some flavor. It's the same with scrapbooking. Bland is just not very interesting. So I've got something super interesting for you today. So what I'm going to do is we're going to make this page, and even though this looks like I might have done a lot of work painting, it was actually really easy. So first thing I'm going to do is I just wrote out a quote with a marker onto a regular piece of copy paper. So the design is already in here, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull off this acetate sheet that covers up the sticky mat. I'm going to place my paper down, rub it down to make sure that it's attached to that stickiness. I'm going to open the dust cover. I'm going to make sure to load the paper just with the load paper button, pretty easy. And once it's in there, I'm going to take my stylus, I'm going to choose a pattern, and I'm going to choose Save Data, saved here. Now I could also choose from the USB, but I'm going to choose that it was saved into the computer's memory. And here is exactly what I want to cut, so I'm going to hit OK. But I want to move it so it's further over on the side of the page. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to simply select all, and then I'm just going to shift it slightly over where I would like it to go. And when I'm happy with where it is, I'm simply going to hit OK. And then I'm going to be ready to cut. So I'm going to choose cut. I make sure that my blade is at a 4, which is perfect for cardstock. And then I'm simply going to hit start. And that baby is just going to go ahead and cut for me. Now, I happen to have one here that is already cut. So I'm going to bring it right over to my mat, and you can see how beautiful that big quote is cut out right there. This is the negative of it. If you want to use the other side, which is the actual letters you cut out, here's my art journal. And you can see here in my art journal, right here on this transparent page, I've stitched down the words. This, of course, was cut using black cardstock. So remember, positive and negative, it's 2 for the price of 1. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, and I have some watercolors here. Now I'm working with tube watercolors. They look a lot like acrylic paint, but they're definitely watercolor. And the difference between acrylic and watercolor is that acrylic, even when it's dry, these paints are dry, is going to reactivate with water. So I'm just spraying a little bit of water on there, whereas acrylic paint would be totally permanent. I'm going to take a wide brush that's nice and wet, and I'm going to go ahead and slap it down into the paint, and then I'm going to just add a little bit onto my cardstock. I'm going to mix it up without cleaning my brush. That's really important because the red and the blue are going to mix together to create a really lovely purple. And I can add more water. I can keep going around. I just want to smush this paint all around here until I get a really nice result. And I happen to have one here, which is already done. Isn't that so cool? Now here's the thing, you'll notice that my watercolors on the one that I just did are quite light, and that's because I didn't let the water sit on the watercolors for a long time. If you let it sit a little bit longer, you'll get those darker, deeper colors, okay? So that's just a little tip. So after I have this all set, the next thing is I'm ready to add whatever it is I want to behind. So I have this great stack of all these different cool papers. And one of the things I like about these is that they're kind of glossy. They have all sorts of neat, can you see how shiny that is? It really adds a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out a piece that I've pre-selected. I'm going to take it over to my trimmer. It has this little selvage edge on it. Now it is perforated, and you could bend it back and forth to get it off, but I prefer to use a paper trimmer. So I'm going to extend the arm, and I'm simply going to measure 12 inches right there on the arm, pushing it up against the guard to make sure it's straight. And then I cut, and that selvage edge is gone, and I've got a perfectly square 12 by 12 piece of paper. So I'm going to place that right behind here. Now, one of the issues is because of the painting, the paper's all wrinkly. So how am I going to get all those little pieces down? Well, what I'm going to use is this tiny little glue pen, and it works just like a ballpoint pen. I simply, when it's new, you just pull off the little glue dot. You never have to worry about that again. And then I simply write as I would with a pen. Can you see how that glue is blue so that I know that it's down? So all these tiny little places, I'm just going to add a little bit of a glue pen to it to make sure that they're all going to stay down. Now, when it starts turning white, what that means, or clear, I should say, when it starts turning clear, that just means that the adhesive has moved from permanent to temporary, which I'm not that worried about. It's going in a page protector, so I'm not too concerned, but it's still going to stick. That's the really important part. So I would continue to color, well, not really color, but I would continue to glue, and then I can just take a tape runner and I can go ahead and I can add my tape runner to all the other places that I need to on the layout. I would do a lot more than that. And then I'm gonna place it down carefully so that it lines up exactly. And you can see that I have the base of my layout then right here with all these little bits and pieces. And to finish it off, what I would do is I would simply add the photo, add a little bit of journaling, and then I like to add a kind of wonky edge. I think it adds something to the layout. So I'm just gonna take scissors and hand cut purposely badly a little edge right here. And you can see when I add it on there, it's really great. And you can see how the glue pen really holds that paper down to the pattern paper, and it looks so cool. I love it. And I love this old photo of me and my mom. I want to show you a couple other layouts that use similar idea. So here again, you can see a watercolor background, really easy, and scattering some sequins around, which is a fun idea and a fun way to add shine without any dimension. Over on this one, I even let the watercolor drip so that you can see you get some lines, et cetera, and cute little button stacks are a great way of adding an easy and quick embellishment. And finally on this one, I used a stencil with some really, it's called super heavy gesso. It's a really thick gesso, and then just let the watercolor slide on down it.